Dogumentary TV, producing the best breed documentaries on YouTube.
My name's Brad Anderson, and I breed Kai Ken through Yamabushi Kennel, Kishu Ken through Hakuzan Kennel. A Kai Ken and a Kishu Ken are both members of the Nihon Ken land race. The Nihon Ken land race was the Nihon Ken, which means Japanese dog, was originally a land race. After World War II, the Japanese started to split up the breed. They formed what's called the Nihon Ken Honzonkai, also known as NIPO. They formed that in order to preserve the native Japanese breeds, and they split them up into in a naming convention after the region that they came from. So the Kai is named for Kai Prefecture, which is now called Yamanashi. Kishu is from Kishu. The Kishu Ken is from Kishu. Akita is from Akita. The Hokkkaido is from Hokkkaido. And the Shiba is a little different. They just kind of gave him a general name because they came from kind of all over Japan. And then the Shikoko Ken is from Shikoku. We started preserving the Nihon Ken really through the Kai Ken. That was our first preservation effort, and definitely kind of our heart breed, so to speak. I started our Kai Ken preservation when I realized the population in America needed more diversity, and it became my mission to bring Kai Ken from Japan to America to be bred into this population, so that the founder effect in America was less severe, so that we brought essentially the Japanese dogs or the Japanese Kai Ken population closer to the American Kai Ken population in type and standard and temperament. I started preserving the Kishu Ken as well because I saw the same issue happening, and actually in a more extreme situation, because there was really only one breeder of the Kishu Ken in America, and she has a very kind of narrow view of what the Kishu should be, when in Japan, the Kishu is actually one of the most popular of the medium-sized Nihon Ken. So I kind of did the same thing with the Kishu Ken. I decided I'm going to import lines from Japan to be bred into the American population. I believe I imported the first Yushoku Kishu Ken, which is the colored Kishu Ken. And since then, there's been several others that have come over by me and by other people, which is awesome. That's one thing that I'd like everyone to know about Nihon Ken and our efforts, is that we very much want other people to help. We want other breeders. We want other people to import. We're happy to share the information that we have. We're happy to help you import. We cannot do it all ourselves, and we don't want to do it all ourselves. We do not want to be, the 5,000-pound elephant. We want it to be a community of people, focused on helping the Nihon Ken, whether that's the Shikoku or the Kishu or the Kai Ken or the Akita or the Shiba, whatever. I did the same with Hokkkaido. I decided that I wanted to help that breed as well. There are very, very, very few Hokkkaido in America. Before I imported mine, there was one gentleman in Boulder, Colorado that had imported 4, I believe, but never bred them. I then found out that the last true bear hunting kennel in Hokkkaido was going to close shop and stop breeding Hokkkaido Ken. So I imported a female named Ginkgo from that last litter. We then, as a community, imported a brindle male named Yizo. Those two were mated, and they produced one litter. That was the first litter in America. I didn't have that litter. Our friend Lindsay in Washington had that litter. And that's how I got Kurasi, which is my Hokkkaido Ken now. She was from that litter. So it it was a collaborative effort, and I love that. And the Kishu, this is the same. We work closely with other, Kishu enthusiasts to import and share bloodlines as much as possible. And the same with the Kai Ken. We work with all of the Kai Ken breeders here, except for one. And I really love the community of the Nihon Ken. So that is one thing that's really drawn me to the breed. I created the nihonken.org, the Nihon Ken forum, a long time ago. It actually started as the Shikoko dog forum because we had one Shikoko and she was such a crazy animal. I wanted to see if there was anyone else out there that was experiencing, that level of craziness. And this grassroots kind of thing grew, and we had other people coming on that were interested in the Shikoko, but they had Shiba or Kishu or whatever, and I was like, I got to change this. This has to be the Nihon Ken forum, not just the Shikoko dog forum. And that community has been amazing. It has grown huge, and I have some of my closest friends through that community. And so, while I love the dogs, I love the Kai Ken, in a lot of ways, it's the community that keeps me in the breed. So many great people, working together to help these breeds and do their best by them is just special. I honestly don't think I've seen it in any other dog breed that I've worked with, except for maybe the West Siberian Laika. The Nihon Ken needs help in many different ways. And it's, each breed is unique. The Kai Ken, the first group of dogs that came over in the 90s, and there were just 11, and they were bred to produce a population of around 1,000. And so they were essentially like little clones. And there was a shift in the breed standard because they were only being showed in the UKC to make them much bigger than they should be in Japan, where traditionally the actual creation of the Kai Ken Aigokai, the Preservation Society for the Kai Ken, came about because the Kai Ken actually fits between the Shiba and the Shikoko in size, between the Shiba and the medium-sized dogs in size. So the Kai Ken Aigokai spun off of Nippo so that they could formalize the true size of the Kai Ken, and it wouldn't be that of the medium-sized dogs that Nippo was trying to group them into. So the fact that the Kai Ken in America was getting bigger and bigger in size was disheartening to me. And it showed that we were going to end up similar to the Akita, where the breeds split because they came to America. It's called the founder effect. The breed comes to America, and then we start breeding that breed in one direction, while the Japanese are breeding that same breed in another direction, and you end up with two separate breeds. And I didn't want that to happen with the Kai Ken. So that's why it became so important for us to bring Kai Ken over from Japan to try and correct the course of the population in America. The same applies to the Kishu, but the Kishu was a different situation where there was just so few Kishu here that they were becoming bottlenecked. So we needed to start bringing Kishu into America to help, stop that bottleneck. And I guess it's irony. The irony of the situation of the Kishu is, in Japan, the Kishu is a pretty popular breed as far as the Nihon Ken goes, and as far as the medium-sized Nihon Ken goes. It's pretty easy to cherry pick some really great dogs from Japan and bring them over to integrate into the American population. Same applies with the Hokkkaido. The Hokkkaido, is a breed that basically didn't exist here in America, and it was important just the same to get those original hunting lines that are dying off in Japan to America, so that at least we have some of that line before they die off in Japan. Now the Shikoko is an interesting situation because they're actually more popular outside of Japan, and they're actually doing better outside of Japan. It's an unfortunate situation in Japan where the Shikoko breeders are aging and retiring, And there's no young people in Japan picking up and breeding the Shikoku. Meanwhile, they're so heavy-handed in the selection of that breed in Japan that they just inbreed and inbreed and inbreed to the point where it's very possible the Shikoku dog will disappear in Japan. So that's why it's so important for us to import as many dogs from Japan as we can now, so that at least the Shikoku, if it dies in Japan, won't die in America or Europe or Canada. So they're all different reasons for preserving these dogs, but they're all important and needed to happen sooner than later in every single instance, which is why we've helped each of the breeds. This is Brad Anderson with Yamabushi Kennel and Hakuzan Kennel and the Nihon Ken Forum, and these are my thoughts and observations on the Nihon Ken.